Hey, what's up guys? It's Art Book Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist journey video. So today, we're going to be talking about why I chose art, okay? So the format of this is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be more about my own personal experience. This is going to be, you know what I mean? Like, it's less about art in general and just talking about more personal things and more like the reasons why I got into art and kind of how that developed when I was a child and so forth, right? So I guess more like a story time, you know what I mean? Just trying out a new format, right? But yeah, that's what we'll be talking about today. Before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my prints and Patreon. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. And with that, let's get into it. So why did I get into art? Okay, why did I choose this journey? Okay, why did I choose this battle to fight? Okay, because it is a battle. Okay, like, even if you don't know it, if you don't feel it, it's a fight, dude. Okay, and it is not an easy one. Okay, the journey is long and hard, and you need to have endurance. You know what I mean? There's not much money in it. You know what I mean? And like, a lot of people look at you differently because of it, because of the choice you made, right? So I don't know, recently I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about why and like how did I get here? You know what I mean? How did the journey bring me to this place and where I am today? I brought my self-portrait here to kind of I wanted to show you guys with the frame and everything. And looking at it makes me like self-reflect and think about how far I've come and again, the reasons why, the motivations why how I got here, right? So first, I want to show you this, right? This is one of my earliest drawings right here. I don't know if you guys can see it properly. I'll try to make it easy for you guys to see, right? Maybe angle it, I don't know. But yeah, this is one of my first drawings. It's obviously an apple made in charcoal, right? And this was kind of the drawing that showed my potential to my teachers, right? And they said, like, I think they told my parents like, oh man, he's so good, dude. He's so talented in this, like maybe he's got like potential in it, you know what I mean? And before that, when I was like younger, I had a drawing I made in first grade, where it was like a copy of the boats that Van Gogh made, right? And my teacher was blown away by it, right? So ever since I was young, I had an innate talent for art, and there was always something that kind of drew me in, right? When I was a kid, I would draw. Like, I had some friends who were they were actually like two twin girls who were like very interested in art, and I remember that they found out that I was like pretty okay, right? And then we would like draw together, right? And I can't remember their names. I really don't remember their names, but honestly, I literally just remember them right now. And like what we do is like I think I would draw I would like copy like anime, right? Or like SpongeBob or something, right? I remember I had a SpongeBob drawing that I would copy from the picture and try to copy the art. And I would try to copy like Yu-Gi-Oh art. I would try to copy I had like a Inuyasha drawing. I remember that. And like I remember that they would praise me. They'd be like, whoa, dude, you're so good with the hair, on Inuyasha or some shit, right? And that made me feel real good, you know what I mean? But ever since that point, I feel like I've always had like kind of like a something bringing me into art, something bringing me into drawing, right? I've always had an interest in it. There's always something that kind of just pulled me in, right? And I would take art classes in like middle school, you know what I mean? and I would excel there. And I guess I think the praise really helped. I think the getting told like, oh, you're good at this, you're good at that, and like I recognize my own like skill in that, right? And like ever since that point, it's just gone on, right? In high school, that's, I feel like, when it really started taking off. Okay, because I had my teacher, Mr. Okura, right, and he was like a little bit more serious about art. He's a little bit more academic in the art practice. Before, it was kind of just like, oh, like high school art, or not high school, but like little middle school, like little things, right? Nothing to really show your technical prowess, right? But Mr. Okura, right, he was more serious about it. He gave us charcoal. That was like kind of my introduction, not my introduction, but like we were using charcoal more seriously, right? Charcoal is a primordial tool, and like that's where you first learn. And once I started getting into that, I started seeing the possibilities, right? And from that point, I stayed in that class the entire time. I took, I actually, because of like my skill, I actually skipped one of the art classes, and I went to like level 1 art or some shit, like paint and draw number, like level 1, right, as opposed to like exploratory art, right, if I remember correctly, right? And in that class, dude, I've met like one of my best friends, right? I met a lot of friends there, and what was great is that we had like a little group, right? Like my one of my best friends, like I know him to like this day, right? Like we still talk like all the time, and like what connected us was art and like our shared love of, like it's funny, like I think we talked about like Batman, like the Dark Knight, and like that's kind of what sparked our friendship, right? And it's funny because like we didn't have the best first impression, apparently, right? According to my friend, right? He said that like he saw one of my pieces, like we had like in the library, we had like a big like art show, and we had like everybody's pieces together, and I didn't really know him at the time, right? But he saw one of my pieces, and then he like came up to me, and he's like, oh dude, your thing's really good, dude, right? And I was like, oh yeah, whatever, it's like, oh thanks man, like I was talking to somebody else, and then I was like, he just kind of came, and then like I was just like, oh, I kind of like just played him off, right? And like it's funny because I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that interaction like at all, dude. It's so funny. But then like afterwards, like we started talking again, like later we talked, and like I didn't even, like I said, I don't even remember the interaction. And then from that point, we started being friends. You know what I mean? We started being friends, and that's like the kind of the start of the art group in high school, right? When I think sophomore year came around, we added a third person to that group, right? And like us three, we were like the golden boys, right? We were like there was other people who were like also pretty good, right? But like I never like talked to them or really met them, you know what I mean? So our class that was like ultra good was the three of us, right? And we would like kind of compete against each other, right? And like each person had like a different specialty, right? And like that was, sorry if there's a mosquito, and that was such a, like, it was such a fun time. It was such a competitive time, and I was like, I'm a very competitive person, and having that kind of influence of like, my teacher, he's more serious. I have students that are also pretty good, right? And there were students that are like above us who was like there was a guy who was like pretty good. Like now that I look back, I'm like, he wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Like I'm like we are so much better now, right? But he was really good, and like that kind of motivated like me and my friend, the first friend, to like we gotta like fuck that guy, dude. We gotta beat his ass, dude. Okay, we gotta be better than him. You know what I mean? His ass like so cocky, dude, right? And so like that like we formed that squad, and then we added the third member later on. And then the other guy, he just left, and then like we just totally forgot about him, right? And it just became the three of us working together, right? our teacher, like, he saw it, he just kind of rolled with it. You know what I mean? I don't think he was expecting at first to have these, these students, to him, we were the golden generation. We were like the guys who were down. You know what I mean? And like, I remember one of the students told me, like, later, like after we graduated high school, that like after we left, that he like cried, dude. That he like broke into tears, dude. And it's like it's crazy because he's such a stern man. He's such a like serious, you know what I mean, like a sensei okura, you know what I mean, right? And to know that, like, he broke down after we left, it's like, damn, dude, that was it, dude, you know. And it feels like, in a way that like at least for me, I've carried that torch, like, and my other friend, we've carried that torch ever since that point, and like into college, and like, college is a whole like other crazy experience, man. But yeah, like, so like when I went to college, like the first 2 years, fantastic, man, right? Once third year rolled around, it started getting like, it just became work, man. Just work, right? I lived in San Francisco. The place was like, it started getting like, the city itself started to get like worse, you know what I mean? And the school started to get worse, right? I don't know if I necessarily had the best experience after the first 2 years. The first 2 years, like, I'm telling you, I had like so many friends. We had this little group. It was so much fun, and I met so many talented artists there. And like, there's some that I'm still friends with today, but like, it's just wild, dude. It's just wild that like that art had kind of like brought me on this journey. You know what I mean? And like, this is like, okay, this is kind of like getting far from the point. I'm just kind of like going off now about like where my journey has gone, right? But I wanted to talk about why I chose art, right? So let's get back on track, right? So college, all that crazy stuff, and then now I'm here doing my own practice, you know what I mean? And that's its own thing, right? But so like, let's talk about more about the motivation, right? I feel like, again, it was always a calling towards me, okay? Always a calling to me to go for art, to do art, right? When I initially went into college, I thought that I was going into art to get into games, right? Sorry, there's a mosquito around. I feel like when you've done art for a while, right? There's a point where you have to choose, right? You kind of get locked in, right? You either choose, to abandon it and just kind of like, forget about it completely, or you go for it, right? And there's a lot of people who don't go for it, okay, out of fear, out of like judgment, or like, society as a whole, and that, that's real, okay? I've faced a lot of judgment. I've gotten people who look at me, like, especially family, that look at me and go like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why'd you do this, right? And that's real. That's a real thing that you're gonna have to deal with if you choose this route, right? But the most important thing was that, like, clearly I had the skills, right? And I had the right attitude, and I, like, for a lot of my life, I've had to like endure things, you know what I mean? Endure a lot, you know what I mean? Like, when I was in high school, I was in football, right? And I was like the worst one. I was like the worst person. But I made a commitment to like go through it. You know what I mean? Before I really had I had very little sport experience. I was like, not very athletic, right? So I wanted to push myself and see if I could just stick through this entire program. And like, dude, like, it was awful, dude. Like, I got spat in the face one time. Like, I never was able to run really good, right? And so people would always give me shit, and like everyone kind of like just the entire team basically kind of like dogpiled on me, trying to like break me mentally, right? But I would show up every time. I would keep going, and like even my coach afterwards was like what happened wasn't right, dude. What happened to me wasn't cool. You know what I mean? And like they kind of allowed it to happen, right? Um, and it's not really the coach's fault. It's more like the players, right? But like I was able to endure that. I was able to take that. You know what I mean? And to me, that meant something, right? And because I hated football, I hated it. I hated the team. I hated being there. I hated like doing something that I wasn't good at. I hated like having to like run all the time and do all this exercise, and our team sucked. Our team was terrible. We were awful, right? And so like all that shit was like kind of for nothing, right? In terms of like winning and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so like it was just really bad. Really, really bad. It was not good. Like looking back, like I have no idea how I did that, right? But I did do it. You know what I mean? I did do it, and I think afterwards, like, a lot of people like respected that I was able to go through that, and they kind of looked at me differently after the fact. And my coach was like, he went up to me and he apologized. He's like, sorry, Sean, like you shouldn't have had to do that. You shouldn't have had to endure that, right? And I told him like, no, dude, it's okay. It was a great lesson to me. I told him like, if I could have endured all that for something that I hated, that I absolutely hated, okay, then what if I used that for something that I loved, right? And I did that, and I am doing that for art, okay, right? Like endurance, man, endurance. You know what I mean? Like that's like, I don't know. It's a skill, dude. It's a skill that I've learned. It's a skill that I employ every day, dude. Like just don't fucking break, dude. Don't break. And like that's hard. You know what I mean? It's not easy to chase the dream. To have everyone look at you like in a certain way. You know what I mean? And to judge yourself. You know what I mean? The self-judgment, the doubt. You know what I mean? The fucking mosquitoes, right? Every fucking day. It's hard, man. It's hard. But I got grit. You know what I mean? I got grit. Right? That's something that I've learned. But that, you know what, dude? At the same time, those are not my reasons for making art. Those are just the tools, the skills that I've learned to help me get into the journey, to get past this journey, right? In reality, I just love art, dude. I just love the thing. You know what I mean? And I just feel like I can't do something else, right? Like I could do something else. I could do a million things, right? During my academic times, like I was very smart, very I mean, I'm still smart, but like in school, like I would fall asleep in class, you know what I mean, and I would still be able to pull up the answers, and like teachers told me many times, like hey dude, if you applied yourself, like think of what you could do. You know what I mean? Like you got so much talent, you got so much this and that, you have great potential, and I remember like one of my teachers, like my German teacher, right? He was very smart, very intelligent, and he made this remark to me that really hit me in the right place, right? Where he's like, so what? You're just gonna coast on your talent then, like basically like that, oh what? You're just gonna rely on talent all the time, you know what I mean? And that's it, you know what I mean? And like, cause like I was a very jokey guy, I didn't really like take things too seriously, right? And like I think from that point on, I was like, okay, well, clearly talent is enough. Clearly just being naturally good at certain things isn't good enough. You know what I mean? Right? And it just, like I said, it's just kind of like like burned at me. You know what I mean? I still think about it to this day, right? And I'm like, I think about it now. I'm like, well, now I'm fucking applying myself now, you know, more than ever, like harder than anyone probably would have ever expected. You know what I mean? Right? Harder than I expected. You know what I mean? But here I am, dude. Here I am on the journey. You know. But again, these are tools, you know. But like for me, it was like always the love of the game, dude. Like a divine force pulling me into the canvas, you know, pulling me to pick up the brush and paint again and again and again and again and again. And like I can tell you, man, it's been hard, but like the journey that art has brought me through has been incredible, you know. And like for me, for good or for worse, this is my journey, this is my vocation, this is where I'm going, you know what I mean? And like I face it with determination, and like, you know, I have to, like, you know, you guys think you have doubts, like you have no idea, like the doubts in my brain, you know what I mean? Like it's you know, I have to face it every day, and yet I endure. I keep pushing, I keep going deeper, you know. And I feel like the results kind of speak for themselves, you know. And it's wild, dude. It's a wild journey that I've been through. Like looking back at like this drawing right here, like that's insane, dude. You know, it's like there it is, dude. There's the beginning, you know, and here's where I am currently. Again, looking at my self-portrait, kind of reflecting on, kind of reflecting on where I've been, how this journey's been. It's a crazy experience, man. It's a crazy experience, but it's my experience. You know what I mean? Like all the highs, all the lows, all the things that I've been through, all the great things that I've seen, all the beauty that I've seen, my personal experience has all come from art, dude. Everything's come from art, okay? All the things that I deem valuable in my life have come from art, right? And that's another reason why I just keep going, man, you know, because when you're in the art game, anything is possible, you know. Things are still open, right? I look at people around me, and they just seem so closed, right? So stuck in their like little loop, you know what I mean? I could do this and then 9 to 5, and then I come back, and then, you know what I mean? And then it's just like this drudgery, right? And like I see people, I see the look in their eye, and I see that like they've dulled their senses, you know, like that they don't see the world with beauty anymore. They just see things as like, you know, like kind of like an abstraction, a blur, right? And like I've recognized that people who do what they care about, do what they're passionate about, their senses open up, their senses become sharper, right? I know my senses have become a lot sharper, you know. That I see the world differently, right? That I see the world like almost through like the eyes of a child, you know, and no longer see things with blinders on, right? And blocking out, you know, things as we perceive them, but rather things as they are, you know. It's like when you're a little kid and you see like an ant, and you see like every little detail of like the dirt, and it's like moving through the dirt, and it's like you have this curiosity in you, right? And that's something that I was able to preserve, right? My curiosity, and in a way like my soul, right? And I see everybody else walking around kind of like drudgery, you know what I mean? And you know what, that like I'm sure financially they're doing better, you know, or people around them, they're like, oh, they're doing good, you know, blah, 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 you know, like they don't face any judgment, right? They've chosen the life of never losing and never winning, okay, right? But when you're in this journey, when you're in this fight, dude, you have the ability to lose, but also to win, okay? And things change, dude. Situations change, right? You never know what life is going to throw at you, right? And it's really taught me how to kind of live in the moment, live presently, and be here, not be trapped in my thoughts, you know what I mean? Learn about myself, right? It's an internal journey, okay? And like I've gained a lot of wisdom from that, right? I started to understand myself better, understand my direction better, right? you know, hopefully that it'll, you know, I want it to lead to my eventual success as an artist. You know what I mean? My work being recognized, right? We're getting there. Hopefully things will happen soon, right? But, you know, this is it. I think it's important to show this stage of the journey. You know, we don't want to just show the beginning and then like the success. We want to show the middle part, the part that's the hardest, the part that would be like the conflict in a story. You know what I mean? Right? The perseverance part. You know, the part that like nobody likes to talk about, the part that is the shows the strength of character, right? To get to the point where you need to be, right? But yeah, dude, it's been a crazy journey, man. It's been a wild one. I have things lined up, right? So hopefully those things kind of come through, right? We'll see what happens, right? But it's been a crazy journey. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. You know, I learned a lot about myself, and through all of it, I've retained my sense of self. I've retained my soul, okay? And I understand myself now better than I ever have before, right? And now more than ever. And though I do have doubts, you know, though I do have, you know, the like conflict within my brain sometimes about whether what I did is correct or not, you know, I persevere, I push forward, and I go deeper into the canvas, okay? Because there was also like a vision I had, right? Where there was a force beyond me that told me, like, it said, Sean, you will make the best pictures, okay, or paintings, right, of this generation. And like, when I heard that, when I felt that, I felt this sublime feeling, this feeling of just overwhelming, like, not just joy, but like contentness. And like, I felt like so relaxed. I was like, oh, thank God, it's like, it's leading to something, you know? And it, like, the voice, like, you know, it just came out of nowhere, you know what I mean? I don't know where it came from, but it felt like a divine force just telling me, like, you know, like my muse, like, was finally be able to push beyond the veil and just say and just whisper into my ear, like, you know, that this is something that I will do, okay, that I am destined to do, right? And like I said, that's not my motivation. That's just more encouragement. That is just more things that, like, you know, keep me going, right? You know what I mean? And like meeting people complimenting me, seeing my work, you know, seeing what I've done, and like, you know, that's all great, dude. You know, one day I want to be world class. Okay, that is a goal of mine. You know, I have other things that I do want to make, right? I want to make a game. I want to have my own, like, kind of like game development thing, right? But I also want my gallery. I want, and I know that my work can be world class, okay? And that's a goal of mine, all right? And I think it's reachable if I just keep going, okay? And so I'll keep going, guys, all right? And I'll keep recording this process, and we'll get there together, okay? And I hope that this encourages you to push, okay? To endure, okay? And to remember your love of art, okay? Right? And at the end of the day, you gotta do it for the love of the game, okay? That's the only real reason, all right? That's the only reason that's satisfactory, okay? Except for maybe that you have to do it. That is something that you have to do. You can't stop it, right? Because that's how I feel too, right? But yeah, you know, go deeper in the canvas, okay? Find what's in there, okay? And you will have already succeeded, okay? I think we could end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my prints and Patreon. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, okay? Ring that bell for notification, all that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.